Hello, welcome back to another adventure at Weaver Stonehouse Farms. And this is a wiring wonder here. Took the time, this is on International Harvester 504 gas engine. We put all new gauges in it. We got the proper light switch for it. Proper new fuel gauge, got that from Steiner Tractor. Got an oil gauge for it. Got a new tachometer for it and an hour gauge. New starter button switch. And then we have this little gem right here. But it allows us to do USB for power. The thing that I loved, it shows the voltage, okay? So I didn't have to cut in and add another gauge somewhere to show voltage. I could care less about amps. What's the voltage at? Is it above 12 volts? I want to see 13, 14 volts is what you're looking for. I don't need keys on my farm. So we just modified and went to a push-pull switch. I welded the hole shut and made it smaller than what a key switch would be. This just simplifies it. Done. So let's talk about the wiring for this so you can see how everything works on the backside. I didn't want to spend the money on a wiring harness, so I built my own harness. Now, some of you may know what I do, and I'm involved in wiring quite a bit. So let's go to here so you can take a shot, a video of this one. Is that good if somebody needs to screenshot it?
Yes.
Okay. Gauge on the back in case you didn't know. Okay. And that is this gauge right here. One end.
What book is this wiring diagram found in?
So shop manual, condensed, short version. You can get this at Tractor Supply. You can get it online. So where do we start? We start at the start switch, okay? One of the things that I did clearly different, that's actually the part I want to show here, is there's the key ignition switch, and it goes up to the junction block, and it was also sending power over to the light switch at the same time. I did not want to do that because inevitably, somewhere, somehow, some way in the wiring for the lighting, something will ground out. Yeah, the fuse is there, but it'll cause it to drain the battery down. And I said, you know what? Everything is going to go through the ignition switch first. So that's what I did differently with this. So we labeled it. This is main power coming in. Okay, so we go to the one terminal on here. That's our push-pull switch. You pull it out, allows power to go through. So this is our main power feeding up, okay? So then I took that main power feed, put a terminal strip in. I was overambitious and thought a 4 would fit and it won't. So can you get in close? So that's a power distribution block. Obviously my black ones there, those are grounds, brought them all back in one place. So I brought my power to this power distribution block off of this switch, okay? So then what I'm doing off of that distribution block, let's follow it up here, the one I can see the simplest, gauge power. So that is going to gauge power here. Now if you see there's 3, the I, power from ignition switch, okay? So power to that point, and then we'll go off of here. This is an old wire. I used it because this top one is the amp light. So then that wire is pretty short. I made a weather pack connector, put it on here, and then this is going to go out to the alternator. And you notice I have amp written on it, right? So that goes out to my alternator. I'll have to tie that into the tractor later. So then let's look at this one. And it says oil light. And this is oil light. Okay, so then you can see oil light. I put a weather pack connector in here, and then it continues onto the harness that I got to tie into the tractor further on for oil light. Now, you'll say, but you've got an oil gauge. Yes, but I'm retaining the use of the factory oil light on the tractor also as an indicator on the dash to go, hey, stupid. So let's go back to the power distribution block, USB and starter button. So that is my power coming off of that terminal strip up top down to the starter button. Now I jumpered, since it's already here and it's hot, no reason to run a second wire, brought it over This is extra wire. Could have cut it off, but it had the fuse in it and I have room. So that brings power over to my USB plug, which replaced my cigarette lighter. And then off of the starter button, obviously you need to go to the starter. So hence the reason you have a length of wire out across here going to the starter. Light switch has power off of here because this makes and breaks, so all the power is covered. So then off of the light switch, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. So what you'll see in here on the diagram, you'll see a TL, and that goes down, and that's for tail light, okay? You'll see an HL, that is for your headlights. You'll see an RL, and that goes down and kicks over to the back, and that's for like a rear quick connect light that I don't use on my tractor, but it's there anyways. And then we have instrument. So then that comes back up over, and this is the tricky part off that instrument. So when you follow along and you go over here, that went to a terminal strip. This actually had a terminal strip to begin with, but this is what inspired me to build it the way I did. And then I go up off of that and split, go to my instrument light. I go up to my 2 regular lights on here. Battery is here, so that is main power coming in. HL is pretty straightforward. That's headlight right there on this one. So on this side of the spring, that's headlight. TL is tail light. I put those in white wire, so I just knew they were different. So headlight, tail light, rear lamp. So that is the RL down there, and then the instruments. So the instrument's tricky. So I came up here, hit this, and I did a multi-point connector and tied everything together off of this weather pack connector. So if for some reason I needed to tear this apart easily, I could. I used this weather pack connector kit. I got it off Amazon. It worked okay for what it is. It's not robust like quality you get at GM putting them together, but for this it works. So then out of this switch, so here's the important part. I have a regular light, so this is regular light out of here to here. And then let's show the other regular light, which is the smaller black one again.
So a regular light would be the gauge lights that illuminate your gauges.
When you turn your headlights on. And let's show the important part. Napa. So I got these at Napa. So it's an LS6225 or the 23, I don't know which one, but it's this. That's what I got off of Napa. They plug right in. They're wonderful. They fit, they're not rotted, which is my other ones. They didn't want to fit the best. And then I put our LED lights in, and the way these connectors are on these bulbs, you can see they're a tiny little socket, and they have 2 little pieces on the end. They're even, they go in. So that goes in tight. Okay, let's talk about the other ones off of here. I have 2 off of here. Again, there's another black one, and that's just dash light. So that goes to the one up top, into the dash. And then this, I put this one into here as my oil gauge light. So that'll operate as well, and I made that one an LED also. And then tack light. So I jumpered also over to here to hit my new tachometer, which is this one, so the lights work. So a lot of lighting here. We do a lot of stuff at night. I need my lights to work. Okay, the one last one. This is sending, this is tank. So when you look at it says S here. I have it marked here. Okay, so we're in here. So that is, you see the S, you see the G, you see the I. So S is for sending. Okay, so there's all my, that's all the power. I added all my grounds in one place. Okay, so all those grounds are on that terminal strip, and I grounded everything together. Now I have and I labeled it as main ground right here. So that's main ground. So that's gonna run back, I'm gonna take that right back to the battery, so I don't have to worry about it making connection. And then everything is tied off of that main ground And I also grounded the dash with the screw because that's the factory screw that my finger's on up here. I used that factory screw to tie over to here to catch this grounding stud to catch everything. So that way the dash is grounded too, because I'm putting actually plastic connectors on this dash that like body connectors, so I can pop them in and out so I don't have those stupid screws you can't get to the nuts on the backside, to make this easier to remove it if I ever need to. Okay, so off of these grounds, where did I add grounds? Obviously you need a ground on your cluster gauge, right? On this gauge right here. So there's a ground carrying back to that. Then I ran a separate ground over to my oil light. Now my oil light, it needs a ground also, so I added it right to it since it's tied together. Then I jumpered another ground over to my tack light, so it's over to here. And then off of my USB slash 12 volt gauge that replaced the cigarette lighter, it needed a ground also, so it has a ground. So everything is properly grounded on this, so you can make sure that it's like, oh, is it a loose connection? If any of y'all ever had any older Chevy trucks, like anything from 73 to 86, 87, some of them, they're horrible for taillight grounds, and that's what I grew up with working on. So that's where I wanted to make sure I didn't have to worry about those kind of dim taillights and cops pulling you over, but that's a story for another day. This helps you, you know, go ahead, please subscribe. It'll help us. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so we can get paid for some of our content that helps you. I don't know if you need a dash redone, maybe reach out. I don't know, I never thought about doing this stuff for anybody else, but this stuff costs a lot of money. It's not cheap. It takes a lot of time to do it and do it right. So, and you got to have the knowledge and understanding of what wiring diagrams are and what they do and how to interface, okay? So right here at the end of it, where all these loose connections are that I have, that I've been showing you, these loose ends, I'm going to end up building these loose ends. So I left them loose so I could cut and make them custom to fit where I need to on the tractor. That give me plenty of room. And then I'll take these connectors and I'll use these connectors at those points, the molar. Thanks for stopping by the farm, and we'll see you next time on the farm.